The Hawks take on the Knicks, 12 o'clock Eastern tip-off on Christmas Day. New York's -7, totals 209.5. And if you want to see which one of these free YouTube picks on my channel that I'm actually betting on personally, there's only one way to do that, and that's to sign up for a membership on my website at brockpage.com. We're currently hitting at 69% in our last 26 NBA tier package picks on brockpage.com. And the good news is we have another NBA tier package pick going off here today. We're also 8-3 with a push in our last dozen $1.99 daily best plays on that very same website. And if you want to access today's $1.99 daily best play, it's only going to cost you just $1.99. And if you're still on the fence a little bit about getting a package on my safe and secure website, just keep in mind we currently have over 985 members who are signed up and active on that page right now. Now the Knicks have gotten the W in 2 out of their last 4 ball games with victories over the likes of Detroit and Houston. And despite all the COVID, it looks like New York's going to have their leading scorer, Julius Randle, on the court here tonight. He's averaging nearly 20 points a game, along with 9 rebounds and 5 assists. Meanwhile, teammate Kemba Walker is drilling over 42% of his three-pointers, along with 14.5 points a game. And speaking of three-pointers, the Knicks are currently in the top 10 in the NBA in offensive three-point percentage. Now, injury-wise, Rose, Noel, House, Knox, and McBride are out. Meanwhile, Barrett and Quickly are both listed as questionable. And when it comes to Atlanta's injury report, get a pen, write this down. Williams, Gallinari, Capella, Luau, Cabarro, Iwundu, Herder, Young, Hunter, Okagwu, Cooper, and Hill. They're all out. Wow. It's a lot of players. Anyway, Atlanta's taken the loss in 6 out of their last, in 5 out of their last 6. They've lost a bunch of games here recently, and they successfully covered the number only 3 times in their recent handful of matchups. And even when they're mostly healthy, the Hawks currently have a losing record away from home, as they find themselves covering in just 40% of their road games. And speaking of road games, Atlanta's currently in the bottom 10 in the NBA here in points allowed per contest when traveling. When it comes to the total on this one, New York saw 3 out of their last 4 ball games get over the posted number. The Knicks are also 4-1 of the over in their last 5 outings when favored. I'm going to lean toward New York -7 over 209.5. Next matchup, Celtics, Bucks, 2:30 Eastern start time. Milwaukee's -7, totals 221.5. But despite a very good home record, Milwaukee struggled to cover the point spread in the Fiserv Forum. Milwaukee's covered only 6 out of 16 home games, and that's good for only 37% in that particular category. The Bucks are currently in the bottom 10 in the NBA in offensive field goal percentage at home. They also may have to go to work here today without Giannis Antetokounmpo and Bobby Portis, as both are listed as questionable. Now they're taking on a Boston club who successfully covered the point spread in 4 out of their last 5 ball games. Boston is currently in the top 10 in the NBA in defensive field goal percentage away from home. Despite a massive COVID list right now, it does look like Boston's top 3 scorers will be in action here today. Jason Tatum's averaging over 25.5 points a game, along with 8 rebounds and 3 assists. Meanwhile, Jaylen Brown is drilling nearly 40% of his three-pointers himself. Brown's also averaging over 22 points a night, along with 5 rebounds and a couple assists. Now, when it comes to the injury report, Horford, Parker, Smart, Hernangomez, Langford, and Thomas, they are all questionable. Meanwhile, the following players have been ruled out: Hauser, Neesmith, Fernando, Williams, Richardson, and Enes Kanter. They will not be playing. When it comes to the total on this one, Boston saw their last couple of games fall under the posted number, 4-2 to the under in their last 6. Meanwhile, Milwaukee's currently 69% to the under at the Fiserv Forum. I'm going to lean toward Boston +7, under 221.5. Next ball game, it is going to be Warriors versus the Suns, 5 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Phoenix is -6.5, totals 215. But despite a really nice stretch of victories here recently, the Suns failed to cover against the likes of OKC, the Clippers, San Antonio, and this very Golden State team here within the past few weeks or so. And although there's really not much to nitpick about with regard to Phoenix, they do tend to give up points late in games, as they currently rank in the bottom 10 in fourth quarter points allowed. Now they're taking on a Golden State team who won 7 out of their last 9 ball games themselves, and they're allowing fewer points per contest than any other team in basketball. The Warriors are also first in the NBA in defensive rebounding, and they also limit their opponents to just 42% shooting from the field. Now, scoring-wise, Steph Curry's averaging over 27.5 points per night, along with 5 rebounds and 5 assists. Curry's also making nearly 41% of his three-pointers. Meanwhile, Otto Porter is drilling 40% of his 3 balls on the year himself. The Warriors are currently in the top 5 in both scoring and offensive rebounding. Now, when it comes to the injury report, Lee and Poole are still out. Iguodala is questionable. When it comes to the total in this one, 3 out of Golden State's last 4 ball games got over the posted number. Meanwhile, Phoenix went 4-1 to the over in their last 5 themselves. I'm going to lean toward Golden State +6.5 and the over 215. Next matchup, Nets, Lakers, 8 o'clock Eastern start time. LA's -1.5, totals 224. Despite their recent struggles, the Lakers do still have a winning record at home. They currently rank in the top 10 in the league in scoring on average per game. LeBron James is averaging over 26.5 points a game, along with 6 rebounds and 6.5 assists. Meanwhile, Russell Westbrook's averaging nearly 20 points a night himself, along with 7 rebounds and 8 assists as well. And when it comes to the defensive play here, the Lakers are still in the top 10 in the league in guarding the 3-ball despite their defensive shortcomings. Now they're taking on a Brooklyn team who's going to work here today without Aldridge, Durant, Edwards, Sharp, and Duke. And as far as some other players who were listed as questionable for Brooklyn, Claxton, Brown, Carter, Bembry, Griffin, Johnson, Harden, and Millsap, they may end up sitting this one out here today as well. Now, the Nets have failed to cover in 6 out of their last 10 ball games, and they currently find themselves in the bottom 3 in the NBA in first quarter points allowed. When it comes to the total on this one, 3 out of Brooklyn's last 4 contests did get over the posted number. Meanwhile, 2 out of LA's last 3 ball games got over the line themselves, 11-8 to the over on their home court. I'm going to lean toward the Lakers -1.5 and the over 224. And with that, guys, now it's time for our next and final matchup. It is going to be Mavericks versus the Jazz, 10:30 Eastern tip-off. Utah's -12.5, totals 215. Now, Utah won 8 out of their last 10 ball games, and they're scoring more points per contest than any other team in basketball. Donovan Mitchell's averaging over 25 points a game, along with 3 rebounds and 5 assists. Meanwhile, Bojan Bogdanovic is drilling 44% of his 3 balls. He's also scoring over 17 points a game. The Jazz currently lead the NBA in both offensive rebounding and shooting from the field. Meanwhile, defensively on the other end of the court, Utah is also in the top 3 in rebounding in that category as well. They're taking on a Dallas club who's got a losing record on the road, and they're going to have to go to work here tonight without a bunch of their players. Doncic, Bullock, Hardaway, Burke, Cauley-Stein, Kleba, Green, Omorie, and McLaughlin, they will not be suiting up. Meanwhile, Kristaps Porzingis has been ruled as questionable as well. And I'll tell you what, even when they're mostly healthy, this Mavs team has done a really poor job offensively this year, as they're averaging only 103 points a game on the road. Now, Dallas is also shooting a measly 31% from beyond the arc when they travel. When it comes to the total in this one, the Mavs went 80% to the under in their last 10 ball games. Dallas is also 21-10 to the under for the entire season. Meanwhile, Utah, on the other side of things, they saw 4 out of their last 7 fall under the number themselves. I'm going to lean toward Utah minus 12.5, under 215. And with that, guys, now it's time for our quick pick recap. Powered to you by my website at brockpage.com, where we are currently hitting at 69% in our last 26 NBA tier package picks. I like New York minus 7 over 209.5. Boston plus 7 under 221 and a hook. Golden State plus 6.5 over 215. LA Lakers minus 1.5 over 224. Before I give you my next and final free pick for the video, one final reminder that we are also 8-3 with a push in our last dozen $1.99 daily best plays on brockpage.com. I'm going to lean toward Utah minus 12.5, under 215. And with that, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on brockpage.com. If you guys do end up getting a membership here today on my website, just keep in mind, you're going to get billed the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. So if you do end up getting a membership here today on brockpage.com, you're going to get access to that content all the way through the end of December. Although I do tell folks in every single video, the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. And if you guys want to get access to every single pick that I give out on my website, you're going to want to sign up for my board member tier picks. Board members on my site get access to every single pick that I give out on that page all the way through the end of December as well. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube on Christmas Day. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, guys, happy Saturday to you. Merry Christmas to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at brockpage.com.